Hey there, welcome to Coffee Break Plans. Today I thought I would talk about the value of reviewing and resetting, especially when it comes to all your planners and journals. I touched upon these topics during my Common Pitfalls video, but I thought it could be helpful to expand it just that little bit. And if you watch planning videos, and it's quite likely you do, unless the algorithm has just randomly assigned this video to you, you will notice there's quite a lot of reviewing and resetting going on amongst the planning community at various times of the year. The end of the year in particular, absolutely. There's also quarterly reviews and often a mid-year review. And even a monthly plan with me video is actually a reset and review video. In general life, we love a good reset. I think New Year's Eve is a classic example. In New Zealand, we just recently had Matariki, which is our local version of New Year's Eve. There's also things like spring cleaning, for example, which is the same kind of principles. You take stuff out, you have a look at it, you dust it all off, you decide if you want to keep it or throw it out, and it's a chance to start all over again. In planning, it is much the same. It's review, renew, reset. And I think it breaks down into three key areas. There are probably always more, but for me, it's three areas at three different scales. There is the review of your tasks, there is the review of your planner, and there is the review of your stack, which is your whole system, all of your planners as they fit together. So let's get started. So the first reason that reviewing and resetting is great is that it closes loops. This is the task level, and we can review this usually daily or weekly, or depending on how much you have on, monthly. So it checks what tasks have been done, and more importantly, what hasn't been done, and then you can figure out why. So for example, here are my monthly goals. I have a tasks, in fact, all of these that haven't been done, and one of them is my lighting plan for my show. Now, why haven't I done my lighting plan? Well, it's actually because I haven't got my set positions in place yet. There's no point in doing a lighting plan when you don't know where everything is going to be. So why don't I know where everything's going to be? Well, I haven't finished my set design, and that is because I'm not sure what budget I have for the set. So I can't finalize the design until I know how much it's going to cost or how much it can cost. So I've identified a new task, and that is to have a meeting with the production manager to find out what my budget is. So, new task, meet with my production manager to discuss budget and design. So, I'm actually going to put that in there. So, by going in and checking, and I tend to check my monthly goals each week, I see which ones are undone, and then I can get those done. Especially as of the moment that I'm filming this, I'm coming into the end of July. So, I'm going to need to start doing a bit of a transfer over to August's task list, which is part of my reset. It also helps to check what might need rescheduling and what can be deferred. So, if you're too busy or you're overwhelmed or you just can't be bothered, you can push some things out to a later date, or you can possibly delete something. If you're looking at the same unfinished task every day or week, you have to think about if there's any real point in keeping it. So that's your reset done at your task level. So the next level up is checking over each of your planners and or journals and checking to see that everything is still working. This can be done on a slightly longer time frame. So I tend to do mine quarterly, but some people choose to do them monthly or even further out. So what I do at the planner level is I check to see that all the bits of this planner are still working well. Look at what bits of the system are working, what is it you can cull and trim. You can refresh your pages, you can try new lists or new trackers, and you can set up for your upcoming time period. So for example, every quarter I do my goals, and I will do a 90-day or a quarterly goal page for each quarter that I'm in. And for each month of that quarter, I will do my monthly goals. And that is part of my quarterly reset. And also each month, as part of my monthly reset, I will check over my monthly goals, transfer over anything that hasn't been done in the previous period, check off anything that has been finished, and then take a look at where I can book in all of these items to get them done. Bullet journalists tend to do their planner setups monthly, at least the ones that I watch. That is because of the nature of bullet journaling, is that nothing is set up until you get there. So they'll pick a theme, they'll do their monthly spread, they set up the spreads that they'll use for the rest of the month, and many will stay the same throughout. However, some of them they'll find that they don't use anymore, so they'll just get rid of them. They'll amend and tweak the ones that they are still using but just need a few changes. For me, I'm in a disc planner with pre-printed pages. I do my review quarterly at the same time that I do my goal setup. I check through all of the other sections of my planner to make sure they're all working well. So for example, I was using a monthly layout that looked like this, that went across 2 pages, and I've changed that to just a single page for each month because I realized that's all that I need. And then I remove this page once I get to it, and then I just have my monthly spread of these 2 pages. So that was something that I decided to do as part of a quarterly review and setup. I did go through a stage where I was regularly changing my weekly layouts. I think I started with a vertical, then I went to a productivity, and then I went to a dashboard, and then I split all 3 of my areas of my life into 3 separate calendars, all with different layouts. And now I'm back to the vertical, and I have all 3 areas of my life planned in the single vertical layout. And that all happened because of my regular reviews and my resets. I will also sometimes change the cover because in a happy planner, it's quite easy to just remove and change out your covers. I will sometimes do that. You could also look at all the trackers that you have. Are you actually tracking stuff that you are looking at? So for example, I was using the left-hand side of my daily page to do a time tracker, and I did that every single day. I'd never reviewed it. I didn't collate any of the data, so I was getting 0 insights, so it was 0 value. So I stopped doing it, and now I'm just doing a daily journal entry on these pages. For my reading journal, which I have on a much longer review scale, I tend to look at it every half year. I take a look and decide, do I still need all of these spreads? Are they still serving me? Do I need to do something different the following year or even the following month? And I just regularly review and change out what it is I think I need until I've kind of settled on what I'm doing at the moment, which is this kind of layout. So it's really about going through your planner and your journal, and each journal and planner or diary that you have in your stack, and just checking to make sure everything is working. And the last thing that you get out of regular reviews is your overview of your entire system. You need to check that all of the planners and journals in your stack, everything is working as it's intended to, and that it's actually working together. And this review you would do on a much longer time scale, quarterly at the most, sometimes biennial or even just annually. So things that you can look at is, are there any duplicates? I, for example, am doing both a daily diary entry and I have a 5-year journal. So I'm essentially repeating the same information twice. One of them's just a little bit shorter. At the moment, that's working well for me, but I do look at it on a regular basis and think, is that still okay for me? Do I want to continue that? It also helps you to review, do you have too much going on? Do you have too many journals and planners? Can you consolidate anything down into fewer books? Or conversely, do you need to split some of your things out into different notebooks because it's not working properly? So my issue was when I had a common planner last year, I had all of my task and time management right alongside all my personal diary entries. So if I lost that diary, I lost quite a lot of personal information. So I decided to split those 2 things out, have a time and task management and have a personal diary. We all go in cycles. You may have a planner stack of about 10, and then you might realize that 4 of them are all just a different version of memory keeping. 2 of them are time and task management, and even with them, you're still constantly confused and behind. So during your annual review process, you will slash all those books down to say 4 of them for the following year. So I went from one bullet journal for everything to a task and time planner, a reading journal, my personal journal and tracker, and my 5-year diary, which is currently, I don't know, it's gone walkabout somewhere in the house, wherever it was that I was doing it. However, when I had all these systems in place during a mid-year review, I discovered that there was one thing that hadn't transferred over from my original bullet journal, and that was a commonplace book. So I added a commonplace book to my planner stack. So a journal is where you keep track of all your own thoughts and memories. A commonplace book is where you keep track of other people's wisdom and memories. So, for example, these are all quotes from the TV show Firefly that I particularly like. I will write that here alongside various other movie and book quotes. So, if you're into things like that, a commonplace book is something good to add. Now, I'm really loving the system at the moment, but I know at some stage I'm probably going to want to collapse it down into 1 or 2 books again, and I will identify that during some kind of a review or reset that I do annually or biannually. So there are your 3 different levels of resetting and reviewing. I hope this is helpful and you have a great week, and I will see you next time.